Hello and welcome to episode 12, the Why Question
Hello.
podcast. I got it. I changed it. I introduced it
Oh
as the
yeah, the
Why
one
Question
question
podcast.
podcast, not the why. Yeah, it is the one
Um,
question podcast after all.
we finally got it
Oh, we
right.
need to change it on the
Yeah,
subtitle as
episode
well.
episode 12. Pretty
3 months,
crazy. That's actually
official 3 months, right?
yeah,
For a
yeah.
12.
Let's celebrate with a really fun topic today.
Yeah, this is the 3 month special.
Yeah.
Why
Today.
do we die?
Yeah, that's what
What
we're
a
talking
fantastic
about today.
topic for a
A nice Sunday
as our
evening.
gift to ourselves for making it 3 months in a row.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about probably the most polarizing topic in the world, like
Yeah,
death.
and I think that's the one thing I want to start with actually. The fact that it is such a taboo topic almost in so many
Yeah,
people's
it's a weird.
lives. However,
It's kind of weird.
like even before,
Weird
like
thing.
I'm thinking about it now, like it's kind of like, oh yeah, well, we're talking about death, but really, it's it's almost taboo. People hate talking about it, but it's like the only thing that's guaranteed in life. Yeah, it's so
Yes.
not talked about, and I think that's
Yeah.
something that
Yeah.
we should, you know, I think it's good to kind of become comfortable talking about it as well. So it, brings you a bit more
Yeah. I think.
peace and less fear
I
around
think
it.
a lot of people probably. I think a lot of people. I mean, me included, at some point, also like have struggled with like thoughts of when you kind of become aware of life and like you only have one life, and then you become
Mm.
aware of death, and you're like, okay, we're gonna only live once, presumably, right? I mean, we don't know, but you're just gonna have to assume that you're only
Yeah,
gonna live
but in
once,
this
right?
like
No matter
body,
what. Yeah, and then it's like then you die, and it's just all over,
mm.
and it can be a really daunting like thought process of going down that path. I've gone there myself. It's not fun, and especially not because I don't feel like there's any place where I get to kind of or where I had like the chance to kind of express the the questions and
Yeah,
the worries I had about the whole topic. I mean, you don't learn about it in school. You don't
yeah.
really
No
see
one
it in the
really
news. You don't really see it
talks
anywhere.
about it, do they?
You don't have like a deaf expert when it comes to
Yeah,
like
it's not like
someone.
spoke about in a positive light in terms, not positive, but like just spoke out normally.
No,
The only
in
times you
in
hear about
a
death is in bad situations. That you
yeah.
know,
It's like,
and
oh,
that's
so
I
many
think that's
people
the
died in an accident. So many
yeah,
people died here. Someone lost this. Someone lost that. And it's like,
that's a
obviously that's a
loss.
part of it. But I think if you just take it more, become more open and public about, it's okay. Of course, it's okay to just ask questions and talk about
Yeah,
it and want to like
I
feel out
think
your feelings on it.
that's the whole point of this. Like we are literally asking why to, you know,
Sure.
come to help kind of bring a new perspective and be more at peace with the idea of it because I think that's
At least we think it's a new perspective.
yeah it's I mean yeah if it's perspective we haven't thought about before or other people haven't thought about before I guess it's a new way of thinking and I think a lot of people are scared of it and they fear it and I was probably like that but you
Everyone
know
is. Everyone has been. Like
it's a
everyone has
survival
been.
instinct yeah everyone's scared like got a fear
We
of
wouldn't
death
have
but
been here today if we weren't afraid of
exactly
death.
but I think the the survival fear is obviously already always there like that instinct but the other type of
Yeah.
fear which is the imagined fear like of you know the imagining the future and being scared of death like years to come when you're not in like immediate
Yeah.
danger.
Yeah.
I think that fear
Yeah.
can be worked on and you can kind of
Oh, 100%.
come to terms with it a
Obviously.
lot but yeah why do we die? Why do we die? What's your first initial take?
I just think I mean in the grand scheme of things, right, no matter what you believe in as to how the world was created or how we were created, everything has a natural cycle, which is like
Yeah,
the one law for everyone and everything in the universe and in the world, even stars, even like suns.
exactly.
Everyone has one rule that is going to be the same, and it's the, I mean, nature of just life and death. That
Yeah,
you
it's
exist at some point,
the
and
law
then
of
you will
rhythm.
and stop existing at some point. It's just there's no way around it. I don't think we'll ever be able to get around it. I don't think you can. I think maybe the only option you have is to like detach your mind from your own body
Yeah,
at some like weird future, but the whole aspect of like your body dying or like slowly aging, I don't think there's a I don't think there's a way it's possible to reverse it unless we somehow come up with a. Actually, that depends because what actually happens when you age?
Well, it's just
Or
that's
when you're
just your
like going to die? It's just like
your
your body is just
cells. They kind of
your cells are just slowly becoming worse and worse,
they
and your
can't
like organs are
replicate
becoming
themselves
worse.
anymore. I think
Yeah,
that's the kind of fault in our genetics. It's like it's just the body's declining ability to repair itself and repair your cells. Because obviously, while you're young, you keep repairing yourself, and that's how aging happens. And it is a fault in our genes. It's like it's a genetic fault that we can't do it, but it's seen as a fault. But then also, it's like a natural
could
thing.
probably change. You could also probably change it in the future to where you. I'm guessing you could. Although I don't know because I'm assuming. Then you could also like change organs, so that doesn't
Yeah.
even matter. I actually think
I
you could
think
probably in the future find a way to live forever.
I
Like,
genuinely
no,
think we're a
actually,
lot closer than people like we say in the future. I think we've got the technology to do it now. Like I've seen other people talk about this. The fact that like it's scarily possible
close.
to do it now.
Yeah, it's scarily
Like
close
to actually live
getting there.
forever. But then also living
Yeah.
forever. I don't think living forever is a thing. It's never going to be. As we said, it's a literal law of the universe that everything has to die. So if we were living forever, eventually the universe is going to die. We cannot live forever. But also, a thought I just had like death is almost a construct of our mind, right? Of the observer. If there was no observer, death isn't real because it's just a changing of state. If you know what I mean. If there was no observers and the universe is just as it is, was just like energy, and there's no observer to add words and meaning to things, it's just constant shift of state. Like it's almost like everything's always dying. States are always dying. It's just the way we observe it. We observe something in a certain form, and we say that form has died. However, it's just changing to another form. If you know what I mean.
I think I think that's the best way to kind of come to terms with death.
Yeah.
It's just to think of it as just even if you have to like convince yourself or like trick yourself, just convince yourself that it's just like that's if you have a problem with it. I mean, if you're fine with that being like a natural cause of thing, then I mean you're fine. But if you have like a problem with the thought of death, which I mean, to be fair, I do have that myself. If there's like one thing that I'm kind of like torn about what to think, it's death. Like what happens after you die.
Yeah.
But it's especially because I just enjoy living so much. At least for now. Like at least for now, there's so many things I want to do in life that to me right now in this moment, death seems like the worst thing possible because there's so much stuff I want to do and like so many things I want to explore and stuff like that. So I feel like my life isn't fulfilled to like any extent of what I actually want to do, which is why death is also such like a fuck.
It's like a looming thing that's gonna end.
It's a looming thing in the back of your head.
Yeah.
But that I think if you don't have that looming thought in the back of your head, humanity would never have gotten to the point where we are now.
It's the idea that death gives
there's no urgency.
Meaning. Yeah, it gives.
Yeah, there's no urgency.
Meaning,
so even if you do figure out how to live forever, it's like why would you? Because at some point you're gonna have done and like experienced and literally lived through everything possible that there is to experience in your life, at least emotionally, and it's like you're literally gonna become like an empty shell of yourself at some point because there's just nothing left to like think.
Do you think
there's nothing left to do?
You just become like a rock. You'd lose all sort of self. I think.
Yeah, I don't think
you'd lose your identity completely if you live forever.
I don't think you can be yourself forever. I don't think it's possible.
You can't. 100%. I mean, you can't be yourself. Like we're not ourselves. Like even throughout your life, you're always changing. Let alone living forever.
Yeah, I'm not.
You're not the same person you were like
how
years
I
ago.
am. Even just a year ago, I'm not even
exactly,
the same person.
Same. Like months ago, let alone.
Yeah,
I think everyone changes so much depending on their
especially
habits
throughout.
and lifestyle and stuff.
Actually, I don't know like when you slow down, but probably when you get to like your mid. I'd say I think for people starting a family, I think when you like have
When you've settled, yeah,
started a family, when you've settled, that's when you start really molding into like just one like version because you need to be
yeah,
like a stable person for your family,
exactly,
right?
yeah.
But until that point, I think you're just constantly changing, evolving, like de-evolving. Like it just
Mm.
depends which direction you're going, but you're constantly changing no matter what. Which I think again is like the is what needs to be focused on when it comes to the
Yeah,
topic of death. It's like
not clinging on to anything because everything is
death
in
isn't this
constant
death
change.
is yeah, the death isn't this like looming disaster that's gonna happen at some point. It's just a motivation for you to do things in life that you want to
It's just
do,
another
like to keep
moment.
going and to yeah, it's just another moment. I mean, again, who knows? Who knows what happens? Maybe your consciousness will keep living somewhere else, and you'll be yourself, and you'll live happily ever
Yeah,
after, or you'll get a new life. Like who possibly knows
no
what
one's
happens
survived to
after?
tell us. That's
Exactly, no one knows. So, and it's inevitable. So why just not enjoy every moment that you
exactly.
possibly can in the moment? I think especially because I've had so many thoughts about it. Whenever I hear stories about like young, like teenagers and stuff like that,
Mm.
like committing suicide or stuff like that, I'm just like, holy shit! How could you possibly have resorted to that as like
Yeah,
the only
it's like
choice?
that's when
You,
all
li-
hope is. I think that's when my thoughts on that is like I don't think anyone ever kind of wills themselves to die. Like it's no one's actual desire to die. It's always the mind
it
taking
can't be.
over.
Yeah, it
It's
can't
always the
be.
mind
Yeah, but even
feeding you
then,
so
even if you
many
lose,
false stories almost
but
about your
even
life.
if I mean, again, I can't like. It's difficult to comment on it because I've never been to that like that depth. So like, I don't know. I've lost all hope. But in my mind, even I think even if I did lose like all hope, I'd still cling to like any sort of life that's like possible to
Yeah,
have because it's so precious, right? You only have one.
yeah, exactly.
Presumably, you only have one. So to me, it's just seeing so many young people like take their own lives at like 15, 18, 20. I'm like, holy shit, you haven't even started.
Yeah, I think there's so
Like
much
you
like
haven't even started living yet. Like
it's
how?
it's yeah, it's like a epidemic. What's the word for it? Is it an epidemic when it's like something that's happening like too much?
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
it's an epidemic, yeah, for sure.
I think
And
it's and
I understand the pressure, and I understand like having this weighing feeling on yourself and being like depressed and being in a really bad place.
hmm,
I mean, we've all had our bad moments, regardless of scale. But in my head, again, possibly just because I treasure life so much, in my head, I just can't possibly fathom how you actually come to the
yeah,
conclusion that like death now is the only option. Because you will get there at some point, no matter what. So to
yeah,
me, I just can't. I can't. It doesn't compute in my brain that you can possibly want to rush that moment when you know it's gonna happen at some
hmm,
point either way. Why not try it? Just like why
yeah.
not just try everything?
That's the thing, and that the thing people it's fear. It is. I think it all at the end of the day comes down to fear of trying new things and the unknown and trying to free yourself from a place you're in, for example. Or
Yeah, and I mean I understand that the life for some people have been so like terrible that they can't possibly like see a future. I mean, obviously there's difference to someone's lives based on like where they grow up,
hmm,
what their parents are, what their experience are, and stuff like that. But I just still can't. I can't fathom like even if it was just out of spite. Like let's say you live on out of just to spite someone.
yeah,
It's like just do that. Like just any possible reason you can find to just keep going, even if it's
yeah.
for revenge, for spite, like for your own sake, for someone else's sake. I don't know. It's just to me, it's insane that you. And I mean, I don't want to downplay anyone's like bad moments, but to my belief, I believe it's more in your own head
Yeah, no,
than it
it's
is in reality. Like you have to have
100%.
your
It's
brain has to
never.
have convinced you so hard that you just
That's what. Yeah, and that's kind of.
I can't like
That's what.
I don't even know how to
That's
explain
what
it.
like mental illness. It's literally a thing that is uncontrollable, and it just. It's like a broken bone or like a disease, isn't it? And these thought and they just spiral, and they. That's what kind of drives. That's what I mean by it's never someone willing themselves to do anything. It's
Oh
the
yeah,
mind
okay, I see what you
and
mean.
that mental. It's like a parasite that's in your
Yeah,
brain, controlling your thoughts almost, because it's just the feedback loop, isn't it? It's like how we build habitual thought patterns, and when the thought patterns and you're attached to the thought patterns and you really believe them, these thought patterns that your brain's making up and this like parasite is put in your head. If you attach yourself to it, you that's when hope and everything just starts to dissolve. And I think that's where education, teaching people like the nature of death and the fact that it is normal.
yeah,
And
like how valuable life is, right? Like how
yeah,
precious your life should be.
it's like almost yeah. That's and I get. I mean that that is a. I guess it's like therapy and stuff. That's what those things do. But it's the fact that people get to
It's
those
just
positions in the first place out of
that's yeah, that's kind of the
the.
problem. It's like how
And
do
I think
you?
that's from lack of education. That's from lack of
I think so.
education to people understanding
Yeah,
how their minds really work and the fact that you don't have to be attached to the parasite. It's not actually
yeah,
you.
because you can fight it and control it. Like it's your
Yeah,
own
there is
mind.
always a way out.
There's
There's always
always
a
a
way
way
out.
out because I mean, you are the person. Like it's your mind. You
Yeah,
can shape it. You can change it.
yeah.
You
We're
can you
conscious.
can.
We're conscious beings, and I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
consciousness is just the it's the blessing of being able to change the subconscious world. You know, this whole
yeah. And I
we're part of the
absolutely
subconscious universe, and we're but there's a part of us that can
exactly.
change this realm of this reality. You know, the part of us that can change it is the part of us that only exists now and outside of time. You know, but yeah, I think
I think it's like you said. I think it's a lack of knowledge and education about your own mind and like in relation to death specifically.
yeah,
It's like that connection of like you can stop yourself from having the bad thoughts
hmm,
about death. You can like change your mind about the topic, and you could even see it as a beautiful thing in the end of like
builds you.
since you
Yeah,
only have one life, therefore treasure your family more. Maybe do you like visit your
immerse
parents or
yourself in the
grandparents
experience
or
that we're having.
yeah, or visit someone that's like older, like closer to death at least one more time, because maybe you'll regret it when you can't anymore. So it's sort of just like anything at all that you can learn from it to
Yeah, I think
better your own life. It's just I think it's a lack of education,
yeah,
lack
and
of knowledge.
I think it is the fact that we don't no one talks about it as well. Like
Yeah, you don't see it anywhere.
it's
At least
this
I don't.
is this is the first time I've spoke about it like this, which is
Yeah,
the beauty
this
of
is
this
the first
podcast.
time
It's
I've
the reason we're doing this, and I think it's
that
great
that is true. That
because
is
it's going to
true.
help us, you know, check like I was
It
saying
also
earlier,
helps. Yeah, it helps
change our
me as
mind,
well.
and
Or like
anyone
it
listening, it's
helps
like
us to talk about as well.
if you ask why and going back to the perspective we had earlier of it is just energy, it's just change, it's just another change of form. It's never truly the end. I think the cycles will probably they're probably infinite. This stuff's probably going on forever, and it never will stop. The universe will die
Yeah,
one day,
we don't even know.
and it will
So we
probably be
don't even
born
know if
again.
it is or
Yeah,
not. So
exactly.
we'll never know.
But and that's
So
fine.
that's and I think that part is so important to drive home is the fact that we simply don't know what
Yeah,
happens after. So even if you have like a funeral and someone passes on, the more knowledge we have about, or the more we drive into people's head that we just don't know what happens afterwards, they could end up living another life,
yeah.
maybe like
Have
reliving
faith
it,
in the
maybe like
unknown.
keep going on. And I think it also makes it easier to think of death as a more beautiful thing because then you don't
Yeah,
have to
100%.
think like, then you don't have to think of like, oh, my grandparents died, that was it. You can just think like my grandparents died, now they probably moved on to somewhere else, something else, whatever, and they're probably living like happily
Yeah, and I
somewhere
think
else.
it's like obviously instinct. Like we're meant to grieve. We're meant to be sad.
Yeah,
That's normal. However, there is.
Well, I don't think being sad necessarily. I
Well,
don't think you have to be
I
sad
mean,
for someone dying. I think you can grieve over someone dying, but you don't have to be sad.
yeah, no, I understand. I kind of paired them together, as in grief being like sadness.
Yeah, but I don't think we should.
I think sadness. I think it's part of grief. I think grief is
I
being
think you
sad
can.
about. It's almost. I don't know. How do you
Because
explain grief? What's grief then?
it's just respecting the memory of someone.
Yeah, I guess it's.
I listened to an actor talk about it not long ago. It was Andrew Garfield.
Oh yeah.
He talked about his mother passing, and he said that's kind of why I started thinking of it that way. And he talked about it on the talk show. He said something about like his mother dying like a little bit early, but instead of being sad about it, and when he like cried talking about her, he's like, "I'm not crying because I'm sad. I'm crying because I'm thinking about
I
like all
think
the
I've
happy
seen that.
moments
Yeah,
that I had
that
with her."
it's coming back
And
to
I'm
me.
like, that's
That is a
actually
good way to put it.
such a genius way of thinking about it. Like,
Yeah,
don't think about grieving or death as like a sad thing. Just think about it as like, yeah, you love the person so much that you still think about them and you think about like the happy moments and you're like respecting their
yeah,
memory.
that's true. No, that's
It
true.
doesn't have to be.
Yeah, it doesn't have.
I want
Yeah,
to
it
search
definitely
up
doesn't have to be.
grief definition because if it's within the word itself,
Yeah, I think
yeah, it's intense sorrow, especially caused by someone's death.
so. I think it comes with it in that
Yeah, the
sense. I think
anguished
there's almost
experienced
different.
after significant loss. The anguish, but that doesn't necessarily have to mean that it needs to be sad, in my opinion at least.
Yeah,
Like the anguish of experiencing someone dying can just be that. Like it's just
no, that's true.
you
Actually,
you are upset because they're not there anymore, but you don't have to be like
not inherent. Not
sad over someone passing.
it's. Yeah, I think I get what you mean. It's like you can be sad about the sadness about so you got the anguish that side of it, and then you've also got sadness about the current situation you're in, which is
Yeah,
away from
that's
the
more
and that's the choice.
yeah.
I get yeah, that's that bit I agree is the bit
That's
like
what I mean. It's like
don't let yourself spiral into that
yeah, because
place.
sadness after it's happened it's not good. It's like it's detrimental to you as a
Yeah, then
person to just be constantly sad
that's
because
just
you'll end up
your
spiraling
mind.
into like a
Yeah,
bad place.
that's just your mind like
Obviously, you
playing
should be
tricks on
sad
you and
about
stuff.
someone passing and like, but I think that's why a funeral shouldn't be. I think funerals are too depressing. I
100%.
think
Yeah, I think they
funerals
should just be
make.
like
I think funerals
fun.
make death worse than what it actually should be. I think we should. I mean, if anything, I'd want my family, not my parents, obviously, because that'd be a fucked fucking way of going. But if when I have kids or like like children stuff like
Mm.
that, I'd want them to throw like a party when I
Yeah,
pass, like my funeral being like a party and a happy moment for people to. Because I've been like I'm most likely going to be like a happy like cheerful person throughout my life, so I don't want my passing to be like this depressing moment where people just cry their eyes out. I'd rather people have fun and just be
yeah.
like, well, let's celebrate
I
that he's passed on like in a safe manner and
I'm
just
just
be
searching
happy
up
with it.
like traditions where funerals are like that, and that it's like a party, like um, and
Yeah, because I know some people do.
the and with like music and dancing and joy, things like that.
Yeah,
So there's
there are
New
cultures that do that.
Orleans jazz funerals, a mix of African, French, and jazz influences. They dance around there and stuff. In the Philippines, the Tinguian death celebration. That's pretty cool. The Tinguian people dress their dead in the finest clothes, seating them on a chair with a lit cigarette. That's pretty cool.
That's cool. That's pretty cool. I want to
And
have
they
a Cuban
hold
cigar lit.
parties around the deceased, treating them as if they are still alive. It's
Oh,
pretty.
that's kind of cool, actually. Yeah.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, there's quite. I mean, there's
Yeah,
quite
but
a few of these. Like, and
yeah,
I
obviously
think it's
everyone
like.
does it different, but I don't think I think the Christian way of doing it, of like everyone has to sit there in like tuxedos and black dresses and
Yeah,
just be sad and just sing sad songs and everything is just fucking sad. It just makes it worse because like
yeah. It's like I don't know
what's the
whether
point?
It's. I mean, funerals probably go back to the start of the human race, and it's fun. It's weird to think how instinctually, we mourn, and I think other
Yeah.
animals do it. Like every animal mourns, and I think that's I think that's a
Yeah.
very interesting thing to me, actually. The fact that it's instinctual to mourn someone or another animal that's gone, and the fact that animals know as well. That's always
Yeah, the fact that
intrigued me.
they understand death,
Yeah, I think
even though
that's
they're not like not
they
all of them are conscious, but I
obviously
think
they don't
most of them
think about it.
understand like death.
They don't think about it like us because they don't know words. But the same
No.
feeling of that intense kind of grief
Yeah.
feeling, they must share that, and I think that's really like pretty cool. I think it's not a
Yeah.
bad thing, but I think because if someone sees an animal like grieving, oh, they feel so sad. I'm just like, damn, that's crazy. How do they know how to
Yeah,
do
it's like
that?
how did like what is going on through their minds? Are they like how are they experiencing what like we've
Do you think
also
there's
like are going to experience at
like
some point?
there must be some sort of chemical reaction in the brain um,
Well,
that where
yeah, I don't know what there's definitely a chemical for like sadness. Like there's definitely like a chemical.
yeah
There's definitely a not a chemical. There's definitely a what's it called? A substance in your body that gets released, or like a hormone or something that gets released
yeah
that triggers like the sad emotions in your brain, which I'm assuming is what happens when you think about someone that's dead because you can't. What happens when you think about someone that's dead is you think about all the things you can't do anymore, or you think about all the things you had done but you can't
yeah.
do again, and then
So
that becomes like a sad moment instead.
I've got here the brain processes loss as physical pain. So when it comes to animals as well, they probably feel like physical. It's the same kind of sensation almost. It's the
Yeah,
anterior cingulate cortex, which lights up during grief. Um, and it's dopamine and oxytocin withdrawal. So yeah, how we were speaking, I think last week about love and dopamine and oxytocin going up.
being like
It's literally
going
the
up.
opposite, and
Yeah, it just goes
it
down.
it's gone, and it's almost like withdrawals to like
It's sucked
an
out of you
addiction.
instead.
It's like you losing those chemicals is similar to a drug withdrawal. So you crave the thing that you lost,
Oh,
and I think that's a
yeah,
part of grief as
exactly.
well.
Yeah. You're craving for those moments that you've lost now.
Yeah,
Well, not lost, but you can't do anymore. Or also, I mean, I guess things that you haven't been able to do while they were alive that you're like,
yeah,
I
that's true.
regret not having those done those kind of things,
Mm.
which obviously is natural and everyone has to grieve in some way. But I think I think the whole attitude that we have built around death, at least in our cultures, of death being this extremely sad, like depressive demeanor, it's just made it so much worse.
Yeah, I think it's definitely
It's just
something where grief, but as we were saying earlier, like the sadness of the situation, don't wallow. I think there's a
yeah,
difference, and you know,
exactly.
yeah, grief is
Obviously,
like
you should feel sad when someone like dies. I
yeah,
cannot
that's a
like
normal
obviously
reaction. But
that's a
then
normal reaction. Like grieve for them and be sad when it happens. But months, years, weeks after, that sadness should go away, and you can still grieve, but not like
it's
why make it a sad part?
yeah,
Just
because then it's no longer
be
about
happy that
them.
you've
It's
lived.
then become about yourself, which is ego,
Yeah,
and that's no longer
and you
that's nothing to do with death anymore. That's literally
no, and you have to still live on and live further on
it's
and
it's
like
taking it
enjoy
as
your life even though
a
they've
lesson
passed.
and learning from it. I think that's one big thing, and
Yeah, and I wish there was more
I
open
think
discussions about it.
that's like while I hope people listen to this kind of have a think about it, maybe even talk to people about it because it's I think this is the best way sharing your ideas, getting new ideas. It's probably one of the best
Yeah,
ways to overcome something like this. And
hearing other people speak about it, like their thoughts, like what they think, and also like we did just now, just search up how different cultures deal with
yeah,
funerals,
because
for example.
it's all a construct, isn't it? It's a human construct. This idea of death, what
Yeah,
we've
and if
got, and funerals.
I think it's so interesting that you can have, for example, the Philippines. They have such a cool, nice way of dealing with funerals, and how we like, I guess, Christianity, right? how Christianity has developed, like funerals.
Mm.
It's just interesting how they've gone in such different directions for
Why
something
do you
that
think
is common
that happened?
for every place.
Like, how do you think it's split? Like, what could the reasons be? Do you think? Do you
God,
think just
I
do you think it comes down to the environment, like the deeper root, like almost how they, if they live a generally happy life, like generations before, maybe even
no,
like if
because
the, I don't know, like if just their environment, they're eating better than another culture or something in
no, because we
previous
Christianity
generations.
had like no, because a lot of I think a lot of the cultures where you have a positive kind of spin on things
Hmm.
are usually cultures where they struggled a lot with like daily necessities.
Well, so it might be
So they did
the other
kind
way
of
around.
they did everything in their power to just look at life in a
So maybe
positive way.
maybe that just increased their gratitude then.
Yes, absolutely. Because you're not grateful if you're born into wealth, for example,
Yeah,
right?
you're grateful for you.
And none of those cultures, especially in the Philippines, were born into wealth, no
Yeah.
matter who you were. You just had to make do with what you had. So I think it's because Europe was the main reason we like got industrialized and we got like a high standard of living. That's
Hmm.
also where it's most likely to end up being worse in the terms of how you do certain things because you start having to consciously think more about it instead of just doing what feels good.
Hmm. No, that makes sense.
Is what I think. Because often when you see these kind of people that end up celebrating in a like different way than what we kind of think is normal, it's usually tribes or it's usually some sort of local like people to an area which
Hmm.
most of the time is or has been like a quite like poor area where people don't have that like
Yeah.
standard of living or luxury to really think about it. So they just kind of
Maybe
do.
that, and that makes you appreciate the people around you more as well.
Yeah,
And then
100%. So they
you
often have
celebrate
very
it.
like
I think,
tight knitted communities,
yeah, I
while
think a
we
lot
don't.
of the sadness around death comes from the lack of gratitude and probably the fact that you didn't appreciate them enough.
Yeah,
I think
I
people
think so.
like, they think
I mean,
I
I
didn't,
mean,
almost like
because
the fact that people, you've got one person who's sad about death, they've probably got the idea that they didn't do enough with the life. It's that regret, that innate kind of
I think so.
damn.
Yeah,
But then if you're grateful, it's like, yeah, that's okay. It's just we did enough, and it's like I think everyone comes into this world. I think everyone's got a day and a time where they go. It's there. It's there's when people have near death experiences, like it wasn't your time. But when people die, it's
yeah,
like that's when that had to happen. Otherwise it wouldn't have happened.
yeah.
And I think looking at it that way is interesting as well, because I know a lot of people probably think, oh, they say why not, like so young, but I think if it happens, it's meant to happen. It's They came into the world with that date and that time stamped on their head, and that's it.
Or if it's more like a if it's happened, it's happened, and it's like you can't you couldn't have prevented it even if you tried
Yeah,
because you never know like when it would happen or when it's going to
exactly.
happen. So no matter what happens, that's just
All you can really
unfortunately
take on
how it's
is
gone.
how you live
So
now and going forward, how
yeah,
you
especially
navigate.
yeah, and I think that's why it's so much more important to really think about like who you. I mean, hopefully you have people you care about in your life, but really think about like people you care about in your life, and you're like, okay, if some of them died tomorrow, would I have regrets
Exactly, yeah.
for
Because it
something like
is,
we haven't done or I haven't said or like haven't seen them enough? And if your answer is yes, then maybe that should be your motivation to not
yeah.
have those
And just
regrets and
help,
still like
yeah,
do things
help
with
the
that
people
person.
around you. Just be grateful for just having them exist, rather than being grateful for
Yeah,
people only if they do something for you and expecting things in return if you do something. Withdraw all
or
these
yeah,
physical things and just be grateful for
exactly.
existence of people around you and the people you spend time with.
And I think that should be the focus on the topic of death.
Yeah, I think
It's like,
100%.
how do you appreciate your life? How do you appreciate the people around you more, instead of thinking about death being like this like
Big bad.
looming disaster?
Yeah.
You can more think about, okay, if I die tomorrow, or if someone in my family died tomorrow, would I have regrets for any sort of reason? And if the
Mm.
answer is yes, then make sure you don't have regrets.
No, 100%. Yeah, I think.
And also making funerals a less depressing event, I think, would also help a lot.
Yeah. No, yeah, definitely. I think it's just a weird one. I think the biggest thing is not not allowing yourself to be too attached to the false ideas that you make up around death, and when it comes to regrets and the
Yeah, yeah, I
the
see what
the
you mean.
bits that are about yourself. Don't attach to
Yeah,
them because they're not real. The just the experience of going through grief. Don't attach yourself to that. Don't attach yourself to the fear of death. Attach yourself to the memories of and the gratitude of people around you. I think that's the
yeah.
probably the
Shift
best
the
way to
focus, right?
yeah.
Shift the
And
focus to something more positive. Because why not? You can.
yeah, you've got the power to do it, and you know you might be stuck thinking it in a more negative polarity around death, but it's changeable. You just got to have the courage to you know
Change it.
shift your thoughts one at a time and build these habits, and just talk to people about it because
Yeah, I think the lack of transparency and openness about the topic is also not like
exactly
very helpful.
yeah
Because I'm assuming there's a lot of people that have a lot of questions or a lot of feelings that they want to like get out
just around
when it comes
death
to
in
like
general.
death.
And,
Yeah,
you
around
can't
death in
people
general
can't afford
specifically.
therapy. Like
No.
therapy's expensive. It's like come to the podcast. Talk about
Yeah,
it.
yeah, we're free
We can be the
therapy.
therapists. We can be the therapists.
Yeah, we're the free the therapists for the world.
Yeah.
No, but genuinely, I don't think I've really ever seen publicly people talk openly about changing how we think about death, or like
No,
death in
it's not a
general.
normal
It's not a normal
thing.
topic, and I understand why it's not like a widespread topic that you want to talk about every day,
Mm,
because it is a heavy topic. But to never talk about it at all when it's like you said, it's the only thing guaranteed in someone's
exactly.
life. It's that you're going to die at some point.
Yeah.
So how
Make
do
it
we not
beautiful.
have more? Yeah, how
Because
do we not have more focus on it?
it's
I don't
all
get it.
going back to what I said earlier. It is all from. It's only a thing because of the observer, and we are the observer.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
and if
yes, yeah,
imagine if
yeah.
we weren't here, the fundamental reality of the universe, if it was not observed, it is all just a changing state of energy and matter. There is no such thing as death, and everything is just constantly changing anyway. It's like it is only forms that can perish, you know. And I think that's where asking why does it actually happen kind of helps. Like so now thinking about it, it's like
Yeah,
that was helpful asking why. Because now even like
yeah.
both of us are probably
It
this is the
actually,
one episode where we've actually gone holy shit, you know.
I went into this topic thinking that, oh, this is gonna be such like a boring, like minuscule topic where I won't really like get to think much. But I've actually come more to terms with it after talking about it this way. I'm
Yeah,
like, wait, if I just think about death in like the motivational way, instead of like, oh,
yeah,
just
you're
have it as like a
transmuting it.
motivation to to do stuff in your own life, to do stuff for others in their lives. Like
100%.
it, it should just be a motivational factor to do
Yeah,
more that you want to
because
do.
everything in life that you look at, it can be transmuted, and like transmutation means it was an old thing of changing like less precious metals into more valuable metals like gold and
More
diamond.
valuable, yeah,
The same thing can happen with your thoughts. You can transmute mental states. So when it comes to death, you can be transmuting yourself from looking at it negatively to a more desired state of a
yeah,
positive outlet. That's what shifting
yeah,
perspectives does, and that's what I want more people to understand because yeah, you can look at, like we've been saying, you can look at it as death, sad, wallow, why this, why did it happen, or you can look at it as a beautiful
why
thing
didn't it happen
that
so
gives
early?
life meaning, and it gives you the means to be grateful, and it gives you the power to be grateful, and gratitude is probably the one of the best feelings you can have.
Yeah, I think so. And it's just, I don't know. I think it's a waste of your life. It's a waste of others' lives. It's a waste of everyone's life to be this,
Wallow.
uh, yeah, to wallow in your own like
Exactly.
sadness over things that have already happened, which you can't change. You can't go back in time, at least not for now. I mean, who knows
Yeah.
in the future
I
as well.
mean,
But you can't change it, and there's nothing you can do after something's happened.
apart from
The only thing
changing
you
your
can
perspective
do
on it.
is like it focus on now or the future. As in
And just
the
now,
only
yeah.
thing you can do is move forward. It sounds corny, but it is. Like it's true.
It is facts, and that's how it
And I think
is.
that should
And just
be the topic. Or that should be the focus of the topic.
yeah,
It's like don't focus on the negative aspects of death. Look at it again. I'm not saying look at it in a beautiful way, in the sense of like, oh, death is beautiful, but it's as in look at it in the aspect of it is inevitable. It will happen at some point. So live your life and like live others' lives to the best of your ability
exactly.
and the best of their ability, and like
Because that's all we can
experience
do.
what you
Just
actually want to
immerse
experience
yourself
and do what you
in
want
the
to do.
experience of a human.
Yeah,
Experience it to the fullest extent you can, because yeah, it will end, and that's fine. I think that's I think the almost the grand scheme of things is just coming to terms with the fact that you're gonna die. I think I read a
yeah,
quote somewhere. It's like a man has two lives. Um, one that you've got one life, and then the second life begins when you realize you only have one, and that's when you really start, you know, living life to the full extent. When you really understand, okay, this is my one shot. I gotta, I gotta live my life because I am gonna die
yeah,
one day. Like this is the only life,
yeah,
and there is, I think, yeah, there's a, I understand the quote because there is that turning point. There is that, when you start realizing that, you go, ah, yeah, I am grateful actually, because it's like if you don't know about all this stuff, if you're a kid, you don't know you as you're growing up and stuff, and people with like ego problems who think they're on top of the world and stuff, they probably don't understand the fact that they're gonna die, and this life means nothing, but it means everything to you at the same time. And once you understand that, that's when you start to live, instead of trying to just add more to yourself in terms of things and money and possessions and how people think. You start to add to yourself by adding to others around you and helping, and you know just being a grateful, nice person. That's literally what it
yeah.
comes
It's
down to.
it's just like I mean the corny term that we had when we like used to grow up, the YOLO,
Yeah.
you only live once. When it was used at the time, we were all like, "Oh, it's corny. It's just cringe. It's whatever." But when you actually think about it, like I mean, you only live once. You do only live
Yeah, it's
once.
true, isn't it?
So
Actually,
fuck it.
yeah.
Like just
Do what you want.
do what you want to do. Experience life.
Experience
Like
more. The
do what
only
you actually
thing,
want to do in life. Achieve your dreams. Help your parents or siblings or friends achieve their dreams. Just live a
the things you're
happy,
scared to
good
do,
life. Like
the
it's
things
just
that are, the things that the version of you that you want to become is doing, is the stuff that you're scared of. Because we fear the unknown, right? But the thing is, in the unknown is infinite. We don't know everything, and in that unknown is simply more experience. That's it. So all you're missing out on when you're scared to do something is just further
yeah,
experience of human life, just more experience of the universe. And I think that's one way I've started looking at things when, you know, because a lot of people will be scared to, they'll be anxious, they'll be scared to go out somewhere, they'll be scared to try something new, they'll be scared to apply for a job. You know, there's so many different things. But all
Whatever
it is more
there's so
experience.
many things.
It's just
Yeah,
more
it's just more
experience. It's
experiences,
just more things to be grateful for.
more life that you've lived through.
It's more,
I mean,
yeah,
you think I'd jump out of a plane if I like didn't want to experience things?
exactly. Yeah,
It's just
I think
maybe that one's a bit extreme for some people, but I don't know. I think it's. I really wanted to do it. I had the opportunity, so I said, "Fuck it, YOLO."
exactly.
Just might as well.
Instead of as you jumping out of the plane.
Yeah, but nah,
That
that would have been cringe.
Yeah,
That would have been corny.
that
As we
would've-
jump out, you just go YOLO.
yeah, don't.
That would have been
If you
terrible.
did that, I would have reported that YouTube video multiple times.
Yeah, that's fair. But no, I think the main takeaway from the topic of death should just be be more grateful,
Yeah,
be more aware of people around you, live your life, and don't wallow in sadness.
yeah. Even if, because like even grief, you think the sadness, you convince yourself that that sadness is okay and it's okay to wallow. Oh, 'cause someone's died. It's such a big thing. It's like, oh, I've lost.
Yeah,
someone.
it's a very
But actually, yeah, okay, you can do
Yeah.
it. It's up to you. However, it is changeable. It is the idea that you don't have to.
Yeah, and I
It
think-
can,
yeah,
even that's something that, intense. It can be transmuted. It can be used
exactly
to the
100%.
better. It can change. It can change who you
100%.
are, and it can make you better. Like, I wouldn't be who I am now if, because it's 6 years today since I lost my dad. This is why I wanted to talk about all this today, because it will help me get on with it as well.
It's today.
Yeah, today. So it's like even today I
Holy
was been
shit.
thinking about it obviously all day, and it's like, a few years ago, it's like it doesn't change. However, a few years ago, I'd wallow. I'd be like, oh damn, why is this?
Yeah.
But now
Yeah, I
it's
think-
coming to the way I've changed, the reason I am who I am today is because that's happened. Because I've gone.
Oh,
You've
100%.
gone
Yeah,
through certain
everything-
steps to
everything
get to
shapes-
where you are
exact-
now.
Yeah,
But now the way I'm looking at
Absolutely.
life in the way that I try and explain on the podcast, it's like I am more grateful for things because of everything's happened, and now just being able to sit here and talk and hopefully help other people shift their perspective as well. It's like it's not awful. It's not a bad thing. Like life still went on for me.
life
I'm-
still doesn't stop. Like just because like you've
Exactly.
had someone like move on or pass away, you still have to live your life, and you have other people around you that have to live their lives, and like you still.
Yeah.
So, you still have to shape your own future, even if.
And if you just
My granddad lost both his parents by the time he was 18,
yeah
and lost like grandparents. I think a bit before that or after that. Like he lost most of his core family by the time he was like 19 or something, and still managed to move on and live a good life. And like
exactly like it is possible.
wouldn't have been here. I wouldn't have been here if it wasn't
Yeah.
for him just keep going on with his life. So it's like I'm not saying that's like a thing you should think about. Like, oh, what if I lost all my
Yeah,
fucking family?
maybe don't focus on that bit of it.
That's not the point. It's more about the fact that you still have to shape your own life.
Yeah,
no matter what
it
happens. Like, you
is.
still have to live on.
You are in your body. You're in your mind only. That's the only
Yeah.
place you are, because
Exactly.
unfortunately, well, or fortunately, we are our little bit of consciousness is confined to this vessel, right? We see through a little window, and what, like, you might as well make that a nice window. You might as well make it a good
Yeah, might as well
a good
fucking
window.
paint it like
Have
tint the
clean the
glass a little
window,
bit.
get some
clean it
glass
up.
cleaner on there, spray like wipe it down, and that window's your mind. That's your perspective. That's all it is, because
Make sure it's sturdy as well.
it's changeable, and the way you
think,
think
like you
see
said-
things
like you said
can
earlier,
be different.
I think losing someone close to you, especially if it's like parents, is one of the easiest ways of ending up in the spiral of wallowing in
Yeah,
sadness,
100%.
because it's such a universally known fact. It's like, oh, if you lose, for example, your dad, that's just a universally known fact as of like, oh, obviously you should be sad.
Yeah, it's almost like you can lean
You
back,
can
like because I know I used to do it for ages. I'd be like,
yeah, and
well,
it's like
even
that's just
obviously in the immediate after people are everyone kind of takes it easy, but you do kind of just go, you okay, that you should definitely let yourself
yeah,
at
yeah.
some
You
point,
need
like
to
let yourself.
yeah, 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 yeah.
But
You need
then
to leave,
you know
let
after
grieve and
years,
let the
life does
feelings
go
out.
on. But just
It has
feel
to.
it. Just don't fight it, because eventually, the more you fight it and resist it, the more
Yeah,
it keeps going.
the
And
worse it
then
gets.
if you just let it happen and let the waves come and go, eventually the ocean settles, and you and you're back. You know.
And I think like Andrew Garfield said as well.
Yeah.
Just think about the happy moments and like think about like
Exactly.
just you had good times with them instead of just wallowing in sadness because it just doesn't do anyone good, and you're not even honoring their memory by being sad about like
Yeah.
the memories and the thoughts because you're doing injustice to all the happy moments that you had with them.
That's it. And it's like, yeah, it's not about, you know, I think it's never about you. It's never about just like it's a way. I've tried to explain this to people, but I don't know if I explained it properly. But the way I look at it is, this life is not about me. We're a part of something bigger. We're just the universe experience in itself, right? And it's like, the more you focus on yourself and your ego and this idea of who you are, the more resistance you face, the more uneasy you feel. But when you focus on the fact that we are part of something bigger, we're part of just the universe, aren't we? Really, it's like you start to feel more part of it as well. And when you feel a part of it, you're not
Yeah,
resisting it, and things and good things will happen, because the more you
and then
focus on
you stop having like barriers in your mind
exactly,
of things you don't want to do or things you do want to do because you don't. It's just like it's kind of imagine how insignificant you are as one individual
yeah,
compared to the entire universe. Anything or everything you will do in the grand scheme of things won't matter to like the universe's
exactly.
trajectory, but it will matter to you personally. So like
And it's
fucking
like,
do shit that you want to do.
but also, by by resisting, say where you are now, by resisting because you think you should be somewhere else, you're literally resisting against the whole universe and the whole existence of time, because every moment has led to that moment where you are. If you're resisting the moment, you're resisting all time and the whole universe, because every single moment ever has happened to get you to where you are now. And I
Yeah,
think when you look at it, that's what I mean by, it's not about you, it is about everything. You're part of something bigger. So every single moment has led to that. And if you're resisting that moment, you are resisting literally everything. You're not going to win, are you? Like, you can't do that. You're not going to somehow your mind is not going to overpower the everything, and you're going to
yeah.
suddenly
It's not
be
gonna
happy
exactly.
because you go and make so much money or get a nice car. Like, you know, it's the acceptance and going with the flow. I think, that saying, I think so many people say it, but I think it is such a good saying, and I think it has so much more like
Yeah,
kind of
if you
depth
really
to
think
it.
about it, it's like go with the flow. It's like actually just it just means like I mean,
I
like
think
you said, the universe
the
is gonna
flow
do what
of
the universe is gonna do.
the flow of the I think, yeah, it's like the flow is all around. The flow is a thing that you can be. It's like flow
Yeah,
state as well, and I think it's something that you tune into. It's like
flow state.
the radio frequency analogy I used once.
Oh yeah, the one where
You know,
music is like always
music is it's everywhere. You just
yeah,
got to
it's
tune
everywhere. It's
into it,
always on.
and
Yeah,
you can. And that's why it's like when we play in Siege. I'm like, you can't force the flow. You just have to.
you
You just
can't
let it
force the
happen. You have
headshots.
to
You
tune
have to
into it,
just
and
let
then
the
you just start floating.
you have to let the game tune into you.
And that flow state, I think, can happen. That I think flow state is something that you can reach in life. I think that's a thing that is you can live you can live your
Max flow
life
state.
and I think that's the thing. And I think it's where I want to be. It's like you never get there. There's
Yep.
never like an end goal, but you can get closer to
No,
it. There's never like you
I think
never one day
flow state
wake
just
up.
means that at least in my mind, flow state just means that you are in tune with what you want in life and what you want to
Yeah.
do.
See,
and
I
you
think
actually do it. You
my
actually
like
execute on what you want to do.
definition of it, like that I came up with, is it's when your consciousness, like your conscious mind, is just aligned with your subconscious mind. Because what your conscious mind wants,
Yeah,
your desires, your subconscious, it just carries it out. Like, say if you're playing a game, playing a sport, you're doing things without thinking about doing it, which is your subconscious, but you feel good about it. Like you feel like this is what you want to be happening. And I think obviously taking that from a game level, like or a sport, I think that can be a thing in life, a thing where your subconscious does things in life in a big general, broad perspective, and you consciously go, oh yeah, this is what I want. This is what I want to feel. I think that's what flows. I don't know.
Yeah,
We've really gone
I
on a
think so.
tangent here, but
We're going to go on a tangent, but yeah, that's
what a podcast is about, hey?
that's what a podcast. Yeah, that's what our podcast is, at least.
Yeah, no. We'll go back to the original point, and we'll tie it up. But yeah, I think that was a good conversation. That's pretty fun.
Yeah.
And yeah, death it's not bad. We assign meaning to it. The general kind of human thinking is death is a bad thing, but try and change your perspective on it. Try and think it is just a changing of form. Energy can't be destroyed, you know. That the essence
always
is
live
still
on
there,
in your memory, anyways.
and transmute it. Be grateful, you know. Don't wallow, and be grateful for the time you had, rather than
and the things you do have right now. Like
what
focus
you
on
don't
now
have.
and the future, like,
Yeah,
instead
exactly.
of what's already happened.
And talk about it. You know, if you're listening to
most
this and you're scared of death, you're
Most
scared of
important.
losing people around you, just talk to anyone, like even us. Come to the podcast and talk about it. Like, I don't
Go to
mind
the
talking about
podcast,
it
just
off podcast, whatever. Like, it's one of those things.
Type your feelings out.
Genuinely, like,
That also helps. That also helps a lot,
just
actually. Just
yeah,
writing
because
your feelings out.
yeah, right. And try and open your mind to new perspectives. Don't you are not your thoughts and your perspectives. You're not attached to them. They can be changed. You just have to have the courage to be open to it. And don't be so stubborn in your ways. Because I was like that.
Yeah.
I was stubborn. I thought one way.
I probably still am.
You know, I think yeah, same. Like you obviously you have your perspectives, and you have to be somewhat stubborn, otherwise you don't have an identity.
Stuff like that,
but
so.
be open to shifting it to a more desirable perspective that, you know, might make you feel better. If you're not feeling better now, you've probably got a non-desirable perspective.
Yeah, so become desirable.
Yeah, brag. You're desirable for me.
I'm working on it.
Anyway, okay. Well, thanks for listening. If you listened this far, comment. Comment.
Death is pog.
No, comment. Happy Easter.
Oh shit! Yeah.
It's not Easter yet. I've just got an Easter egg next to
No.
me. It will be soon.
Happy, yeah, comment happy Easter.
Yeah.
Which is special Spotify.
Oh, and lucky number 13 next week. What do we talk about?
It's actually, oh shit. Ooh, we can talk about conspiracies.
Yeah. Why do we
make conspiracy theories?
Didn't we talk about that? Okay, we've had the idea though.
No, we've had discussions about conspiracy theories in other topics, like conspiracy theory for like different topics, but we haven't talked about why we create them. Like, why are we so obsessed with making?
Yeah.
Why are we so obsessed with making theories about things?
It's gonna be funny because we're gonna get to a point where we're probably gonna accidentally do an episode again. Like, yes. I do think we're gonna do that. But yeah. Anyway, we'll see you next week.
100%.
I hope you enjoyed listening. If you made it this far. Hey guys. And
if you have any questions.